let's talk classes and objects. This is video number 4 in Java Basics of Basics, which is a part of a larger course. If this is the first video that you are seeing, please go to the playlist in the description and go to the beginning of the playlist to know exactly what we are going to be talking about, so that you do not miss out on some crucial context and information that you could be missing. But if you are exactly where you need to be, then let's talk classes and objects. Right now, in our little program, we only have a single class, which is called main. What we would like to do is create a new one. In order to do so, to try and create our first custom class is going to be, first, click with the right mouse button, select new Java class, and let's create a Java class for cat. We've got keyword public, that will be explained a little bit later in the next video. We've got keyword class, and we've got cat. First things first, of course, the cat on the left needs to be equal to the cat in the file. So that's first. And then what actually we do have within a class. We've got fields, and then we've got methods. Let's talk fields first. Fields are actually what can be used to describe the specific class. For example, for a cat can have, let's say, height, and height is a number, a whole number, let's say. So it's going to be int height. Then another field could be weight. And then let's just say that we want our cat to have a race, which is going to be reflected in the text. And let's just write it as it is. So we've got height, weight, and race. Whenever we are creating a class, first we create the fields which are at the top of the class. Afterwards, we create all the methods, all the behavior that can happen in this specific class. We can create as many fields as we would like, but let's stick to those which are actually making sense. For example, for a cat, it doesn't really make sense to add a parameter that would talk about, I don't know, their lifespan, or maybe their ability to calculate things and how we would measure this. So yeah, let's stick to what actually makes sense. So now that we got fields out of the way, let's discuss methods. So methods are actually there to describe what can this particular class do. In case of a string, we could have methods which would tell us about the length of a string, whether it's empty, how to measure whether it's equal to another, but here we need to actually do something on our own. So first of all, let's try creating some methods. But until we get there, we need to actually create a constructor. In case of a string, we didn't need to do this, we just used equal sign and then in quotes our text. But in case of any other object that we would like to create in Java, we'll need to create a constructor. And a constructor is a very specific method or a type of method in Java, because this is a method that is actually being used to create an object out of a class. And those are always called the same as the class itself. So let's start with creating a public cat method. We're going to talk a little bit more about what actually is going on here in just a second. So it's going to be public, it's going to take height, it's going to take weight, and it's going to take race. So exactly the same as we have with our fields. So that's first. And what is going on here? First of all, we've got the access modifier that will be discussed in the next video. Then we've got the name of the class, and constructors are a bit different in that manner, meaning that they are called the same as the class itself. And then in the parentheses, we've got the arguments of a method. In this case, height, weight, and race, because this is where we want to put those values into the fields that are here, because currently they have no field, they have no value. So in order to do that, we're going to write out this, that height equals height. So this means that the value of the field height that is marked by the keyword this is going to be the height that is being passed on in the method, as you can see by the highlighting that IntelliJ does for me. So this height is the same color as this one, and this height is the same color as this one. Let's do the same for weight, and let's do the same for race or breed, however you like to call it. So yeah, now we can actually go ahead and create a cat. Let's try and see this in action in our main. Because here, as you can see, I do not have any play button. I cannot execute this code in any way. In order to do that, first I need to do and go back to my main. So I'm going to delete all this previous code and I'm going to create a cat. And in order to create an instance of a class, so in other words, an object, what I need to do is first call the name of the class that I would like to create, so the type, then the name, let's call him Cheeto. So this is the name of our cat that we're creating of our object, equal sign, keyword new, and then cat. And here I need to supply all the information that IntelliJ is also suggesting to me that is being used in the constructor. And also the order is important here that I have created this, because here you can see it's height, weight, race, and it's the same as I have put it in here. So let's finish this up by just putting in some information. Let's say height is 15, weight is 3, and for race or breed, let's put Abyssinian. So yeah, that's our cat, that's our Cheeto. But also, let's allow our cat to do something. And in order to do so, we need to first create another method. Because right now, we've got our construction, but we do not have any other method. So let's say that our cat is going to be able to meow. So let's create a method that will be public, that will return nothing, because this is going to be a void, and this is going to be called meow and no arguments. As a result, it will just print out meow. So let's discuss what is going on here. First of all, we've got access modifier, which will be discussed a bit later on. We've got the return type of the method, in this case void, meaning that this method does not return anything. Because methods, actually what they are being used for, they are being used to write some sort of code once and to never ever have to write it again within the project. As long as we have access to the code, we can just write out the method name itself and the code within will then proceed. Then of course we've got the name of the method, and in parentheses we've got the arguments that the method will take, in this case none. And of course we've got the body of the method, which actually is what will happen when we call this method. So in order to call this method, what we are going to need to do is go back to our main, and then on our Cheeto, because all the methods are, with few exceptions that we'll discuss later, are called from the context of an object. So let's have our Cheeto meow. And let's just run it. So yeah, very nicely, very well done. So our Cheeto can meow. But then again, let's also try to see what will happen when you have a method that returns something, because right now this one doesn't return anything. So in order to do that, let's just create a new Java class. Once again, right-click source, new Java class. This time it will be calculator. And let's put here a single method that will be responsible for adding up to numbers. So in order to do so, it will be called, it will be public, it will return int, because a result of adding two whole numbers will be a whole number. That will be called add. It will take arguments, a whole number A, a whole number B. And here we will use another very important keyword called return. If a method is returning any sort of thing different than void that we have in cat, we need this keyword return to signify what is going to be returned as a result of this method. So what we are going to be returning is A plus B. And let's see how this behaves. Let's create a new calculator. So once again, name of the class, name of the variable that we are calling our object, equal sign, keyword new, calculator, and this time we are using default constructor. We do not have any fields, so we can just declare it as it is. And let's then go ahead and print out calculator.add 5 and 2, which should result in 7. And let's see how this behaves. And yeah, we've got a 7, so that's very nice. We've got a method that will add 2 numbers and will work always. So that is very nice. So to sum it up, classes are composed of fields and of methods. A constructor is a very specific type of a method which is responsible for creating objects. And then a method is comprised of access modifier, return type, which could be either void or anything else. If there is a void, we do not need a return statement. If there is, we need a return statement. The name of the method, and then in the parentheses, we put arguments. So if void, no return statement. If we want to return something of value, this time int, so a whole number, we need to put a return statement with the values. As to the exercises. The exercises this time are going to be, you will need to create a car class with fields responsible for weight, manufacturer, and model. You will need to add a constructor method that will allow to create an object and set all the fields you just created. Create 3 different car objects, so different cars, different variables of this particular type. Then I'll need you to create a method within the car class which will print all the values of said car. You need to use the values of the fields in the car class. And then call the method on all 3 car objects you have created. So yeah, with that being said, that's pretty much it for classes and objects. And this is the one before the video before last one. And then we're going to dive deeper into the access modifiers and some more specific things for Java, which will also allow us to write out more complicated and sophisticated software. See you in the next video.